The Eternals, Part 2, not going to happen. That's right. They said not going to happen. Looked like it was going to happen. Perhaps it was going to happen. Rumors that then it started to be like, doesn't look good, not going to happen. So we'll talk about that. Alien Romulus is looking good with the critics and looking good as far as box office goes. A few other things here and there, but Ben Linus, one of the scariest villains in all time. And we're talking about the actor that brought him to life, Michael Emerson. Myself and Roxy Stryer spoke to him about his series Evil that just wrapped. We talked about Fallout. There are some spoilers there. So if you haven't seen Fallout, fast forward when we start talking about Fallout. But we talk a lot about Lost. We talk about his journey in general as an actor. Really great conversation that we have with Michael Emerson overall. But this is the show today, so I hope you are going to enjoy it, man. We got some good stuff here. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. Make sure you hit that button, subscribe to it. We got Out of the Theater reactions. I got a review for Alien Romulus up right now. We have some theater reactions, trailer reactions and other things. So go ahead, hit that button, enjoy the show, and let's get to it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It is the big thing, and it's Wednesday. Wednesday? I keep saying Wednesday. It's Thursday. Yesterday was Wednesday. It's Thursday. I'm excited for you guys to be here. Don't worry. Roxy is going to be here today. Brett will be back. When we do the interview shows, though, Brett usually takes the week off. We did 2 of them back to back. So we had Nestor Carbonell on from Shogun and Lost. Michael Emerson on this week from Evil, Person of Interest, and Lost. So we'll do that. We'll discuss that. But then I also figured that I would get into a few of the stuff, some of the stories. And one of the ones that I saw overall here was this one. The Eternals. Marvel Studios has now confirmed they've scrapped the plans for the sequel. This coming via comic book movie. And they said, though we did pretty much know that this was the case anyway, we now do have the confirmation that Marvel Studios has scrapped the plans for a sequel to Eternals. MCU sequels used to be a regular occurrence, but Marvel Studios hasn't been as quick to greenlight direct follow-ups as of late, and with good reason. Several recent sequels, threequels, including Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania and the Marvels, they underperformed. And with the Eternals not only having the dubious honor of being the first Marvel Studios drop the rotten status on reviewer out of a great. Several recent sequels, threequels, including Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the Marvels, they underperformed. And with Eternals not only having the dubious honor of being the first Marvel Studios drop the rotten status on the review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, but it also finished up its U.S. run with a disappointing $164 million, giving it the lowest domestic haul of any MCU set movie aside from the 2008's The Incredible Hulk, which was $134, a sequel always seeming like a long shot, even though it was difficult to imagine that Kevin Feige would simply decide to forget about these characters, and the rumors have persisted that a sequel was in the early planning stages. We're not sure how accurate those reports were, but Eternal 2, if it was going to happen, if it was in development, it's not anymore. During a recent interview with Kit Harington, who made his MCU debut as Dane Whitman in the movie, Variety confirmed that any plans that may have been in place for a sequel have been scrapped. It's not a surprise, especially given Feige's recent comments at San Diego Comic-Con, but does this mean that we won't be seeing Cersei, Thena, Kingo, and the others in live-action form? They are expected to appear in the Marvel Zombies animated series. We'd say at least some of them will show up down the line, although they are not expected to appear in Secret Wars. Okay. So, what do we think about that? Now, this is a weird one for me, because I think I'm one of the few people that enjoyed that movie. I like that movie. I do think it's a little unfair that, when it's judged on the amount of money that it made domestically, that was like one of the first movies I saw in the theater as the pandemic was still a thing. And it was still, keeping people out of the theater. I remember seeing a press screening there, and it was like there was very limited people that still wanted to go and see it. So I definitely think that had to do with the box office for sure, as where, compared to the Marvels, which was the box office was flowing again, and that people just didn't want to see it. And I remember going to that one, and everybody was walking around as usual. But the Eternals, I think, was a little different. It's a longer movie. It's a different kind of movie. It's not you pretty much could have taken away the fact that Marvel did it, and it could have been a separate movie altogether, and not even really feeling like, minus the few references here and there. It was different, and I think that's what I liked about it. It was different, but I understand why you don't get a sequel on it. Too big of a risk. And broken record Harloff here, saying that if you were going to do it with a much smaller budget, give it a shot. Problem is, with that cast, you just can't. They are going to mention some of the stuff I guess mentioned at the very end of the movie is going to be tied in, I guess, to some of the X-Men or whatever. But the other thing that was brought up with Kit Harington's character, I mean, they put Blade, his voice in it. They don't even know what the hell they're doing with Blade. So that makes sense, where they're not going to tie that in together. They had, I think the Harry Styles scene was at the end of that too, right? I think so. Whatever the hell's going to happen with that, if probably nothing. But it does see the difference between like that and the Hulk is that the Hulk kept on a chugling, as Mark Ellis would say. It kept moving, like the Hulk, the character of the Hulk just kept moving. You kept seeing he was everywhere. He was part of the MCU. He was a strong part of the MCU. He was very much used in the Avengers and other things. It seems like they're just going to leave these characters behind and pretend like it never happened. They figure, well, not enough people really saw it to really even ask questions, except the big thing sticking out of the planet that they're going to have to address. But other than that, we can leave everything pretty much alone. We don't have to ever really talk about it because fans don't seem to really be asking questions. So, unfortunately, it makes a lot of sense. I would like to see a sequel, but it's not like one of those things where my good friend John Hoey, who I say, I would not start a Make Eternals 2 happen hashtag, even though I liked it a lot, thought it was a good movie. I understand business-wise, not the best for the brand. It's not the best for the brand. You can't do it because it just from where they're going also, and the time when they made that movie, they were still making movies and greenlighting movies at that point where Marvel was indestructible. Well, they're not anymore, and they've got to take things very carefully. We had this whole conversation about it, and I'm continuing to talk about this when it comes to Marvel, is that they are in a phase right now where they're coming off of a win with Deadpool and Wolverine. They need another win with Captain America, Brave New World. That is when everybody's eyes are going to be on that movie, from the people of Marvel to us to people watching it, everybody, because that's the one. That one delivers, then it's 1-2. One of the last 1-2 punch they've had, it's been a little bit, where everybody's been on the same page. Like you're never going to get 100% of people on the same page, but 80%, 90%, when it's that, when it seems like the majority really dug it. That's what they need, and if they can do that, it could be a tough one here. Could be a tough one. If to do both Deadpool and Wolverine, they got that's a win. Then if they nail Brave New World, that's 2. And then they got to hope the new one, Thunderbolts, hits. Now, if all 3 of those hit, leading into Fantastic Four, then leading into the 2 Avengers movies, then they're going to be. Then there's going to be a lot of different conversations on this show and in other places. And it's not just a matter of the box office. I mean, because look, Doctor Strange 2 had some pretty good box office. Yeah, I think that was the start of the decline within the conversation with everybody. Like, maybe they don't have it anymore. And I know, I mean, you go outside of hardcore Raimi fans, and I don't know how many people love that movie. Raimi, if you're a Raimi fan, I guarantee you love that movie. It's a Raimi movie. It's a hardcore Raimi movie. I'll never forget. I took a friend of mine to see that movie with me. Raimi hit. He's like, I loved it. What'd you think? I'm like, this is okay. But then they had a lot of their movies. It's okay. So maybe they're going to pull it out. And we talked about the Channing Tatum, the Wesley Snipes side of it. And you know, if you've been watching the show enough, you know my stance on it, that I don't think that's where Marvel should be putting their attention to right now. If they got these movies that they have to have deliver, then the Avengers movies, then they have to have those deliver. And then after that, I think the focus should be Fantastic Four movies and X-Men movies moving on. Stay in that zone. You should be in good shape. You start doing all these side movies, and then you do, we're going to do Eternals too. Now, we're going to do that. We're going to make that happen. Why? Bummer. But why? Because I like seeing new, different things, and that was new and different to me. And I liked what Chloe Zhao did with that movie. But where do you guys stand on that? Are you completely on the opposite? You say, no, I think this is a really stupid move. They should have greenlit it. They should have put it into production. You're right on the smaller budget. They can do it. People can take pay cuts. This needs to be told. I can't believe there's going to be a lot of people in the comments saying that, but I could be wrong. What do you think about anything else that I just said? Do you think that you think I'm on the mark here with what's going on with Marvel? Do you disagree? Do you think that they've been on track and this is all hoopla? That you look at the box office and they did pretty decent. Again, let's see what you say in the comments section. The box office in general has bounced back. May was a little rough. May had some Furiosa, and even though I think If didn't bomb, it certainly didn't do great. It started to bounce back with Inside Out 2 in June. And then you had that. You had Despicable Me. Obviously, Twisters did very well. And you have Deadpool and Wolverine. So it's been bouncing back. So I'm so curious to see, as we talked about with Alien Romulus, scheduled to do around $50 million or whatever it's going to do this opening weekend. There's also some pretty good reviews. The reviews are in for Alien Romulus, and this is Garth Franklin over at Dark Horizons. The reviews are in for Alien Romulus. The reaction seems pretty good. 98 reviews. The film sits at 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. 36 reviews counted. It's at a 63 out of 100 on Metacritic. To put that in comparison, here's how the scores are in the Alien saga. First Alien has the first Alien, 93% Rotten Tomatoes. Aliens at 94%. Alien 3 at 45%. Alien Resurrection at 56%. Prometheus at 73%. Covenant at 65%. So this nails in here at the third best, which I think is accurate. If I'm ranking them right now, and recency bias is definitely a thing, I would say Alien, Romulus is my third favorite. I would say out of the three. Again, recency bias is there, but that's what I'm sticking to. That's what I'm sticking to. That's what I'm sticking to. And it says that general consensus seems to be its best when it's inventive and trying fresh stuff, and a lot of praise for the practical effects and the atmosphere, but there's plenty of criticism of the callbacks and unoriginality. Give me a break. Also, one key character inclusion. That's such a critic note. I'm sorry. It's such a... Also, one key character inclusion really upsets some people, and the third act is a divisive one. That I understand, more so than that other stuff. Here's a sampling of reviews. The creatures remain among the most truly petrifying movie monsters in history, and the director leans hard into the sci-fi horror with a relentlessly paced entry that reminds us why they have haunted our imaginations for decades. That's Rooney over at Hollywood Reporter. Agreed. Alvarez puts the horror first here with exquisite craftsmanship that immerses you in the insanity. Agreed, Megan Navarro over at Bloody Disgusting. This is closer to a grandly efficient greatest hits thrill ride, packaged like a video game, yet on that level, it's confidently spooky, ingeniously shot, and at times nerve-jangling piece of entertainment. Fair enough, from Owen Gleiberman. An efficient addition to the 45-year-old franchise, Alien Romulus draws on the strength of the sci-fi horror series without ever suggesting that the property's best days are ahead. And that's Tim Grierson over at Screen. There's more. Let's see. The slime and the shadows are the silence, and the silences are back. Horror DNA is honored rather than pointlessly duplicated. This time, at least, IP familiarity breeds contentment. Alonso Duralde. Love Alonso. I'm trying to think if there's any, there's really not a lot of bad reviews here. I mean, this Peter Bradshaw, The Guardian, says a technically competent piece of work, but no matter how ingenious its references to the first film, it has to be said that there's a fundamental lack of originality here, which makes it frustrating. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all, because the problem is and I just disagree with that take, because the movie, there's been 87 of these movies, and the fact that how do you make it? You know everything about them. You know what they do. You know that if they drip things out of their face, the acid's going to go over there and burn stuff, and they're going to be running around the place and face hugging you and all that shit. So you know that's going to happen. It's been set up a million times. Can you direct it in a way where you're like, oh man, I've seen it, but I know it's still creepy? And in my opinion, Fede Alvarez does that. And I do think that the fact that it's hit an 80% on a franchise that some people could think is super tired, not only proves that this franchise isn't over, it also proves the fact that any franchise that you think is dead, any franchise, can be brought back to life with good directing, good writing, good acting, good take overall, and a way to bring it to screen that you care again. If you cared once before, even though you feel that most times, the reason we feel that the franchise is dead, leave it alone, you can't do anything anymore with it, it's because it's been handled poorly time and time and time and time again. And I always bring up Terminator. Terminator has just been handled so poorly. The last few have just been so bad, and the stories have been so bad, and they've been trying to take it because the disservice, as much I love James Cameron, the disservice that Terminator 2 did, which people will obviously say is if is not the best Terminator. I still love the first one, love the second one, but the first one's my favorite. But I understand the argument of the second being everyone else's favorite. But what that movie did is it turned it away from a horror franchise or a horror thriller science fiction, like smaller movie, and turned it into a big blockbuster action science fiction movie. So all the sequels following it, because that one was so successful, said, well, that's what we have to do. Bigger. We got all these different CGI, all these different things. Boom, 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 boom. Huge. And Alien was kind of running down that course a couple times, and Fede Alvarez brought it back and to its roots. And it plays way more like Alien than it does Aliens. I would like to see Terminator do that. I'd like to see a lot of these movies do that. And I think that there's tons of movies that can, you mention and mention franchises. They can be brought, and not just with smaller budgets. They can be brought back with better stories, better directing, better acting. All of them. And that TV, it's not an easy task, clearly. But when people say, oh, this thing's dead, it's over, let it go, it's done for. They've done enough with it. They can't do anything more. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You can always make things work. You can. Not easy. In the same way that, like, with comedy, we talk about this all the time. Well, you shouldn't joke about that. Can't be done. A certain person can. Bill Burr can make things way funnier than you can, in a way that you'd probably offend somebody and get canceled on Twitter for, where they try to go after him to do it, but then he'd come back with a funnier line that said, no, you can't do that to me because that's my point of view on it. And it was funny. A lot of people, but the same way that you give an Alien movie to someone who's just looking for a paycheck, doesn't really care as much. Like, yeah, I'll direct an Alien movie. Sure, what do you got to do? You got to do the face hugging. You got to do this. Okay, great. Let's shoot it. Can I have $150 million to do it? I can. Okay, great. We'll do this. We'll do that. Sure. This will be easy. Yeah, it's fine. And then it turns out crap. You give someone like a Fede Alvarez who goes, no. We're going to go back to the roots of Alien and do that. And that's why you're getting the positive responses. That's why I get frustrated sometimes with I think that sometimes critics feel like they have to be, because it's my job, I got to be overly critical. That's what I do. I've got to really go to this. It's not original, because this is an original movie. Because it's Alien, it's part of a franchise. It takes original swings. The ending, I will say this, and there are going to be people, because I did a head scratch at the end. I said, okay, it's creepy enough. I'm on board with it. The stuff that they're talking about with the characters and things, I had no problem with it. But bring the way that they looped it into the original franchise, I had no problem with it at all. Actually thought it worked pretty well for the storytelling engine. But are you guys going to see this? You going to go check out the movie? Comes out this weekend. It's probably out already at this point, right? Thursday. It'll probably come out tonight, late midnight show. So I'm very curious to see what you guys think. This is going to be an interesting one. And I wonder if it's going to hit that 50-60. Roka and I will be talking about it on Monday in the live show for sure to see where we landed. Speaking of that, not only do we have that live show, Tuesday I'll be doing a single show by myself. Next Wednesday, Mike and Steph won't be here because I'm going to have to pre-tape some stuff. But I am going to be doing a fall movie preview with the former UFC welterweight champ of the world, Matt Serra, will be in studio. And we're going to do a full fall movie preview next Wednesday. Thursday will be probably Brett and Roxy together. I might not be on the show on Thursday, but I'm going to see if Roxy can host. And then Friday we'll be back for Capes and Cows with a potential of Winston and Coy hosting by themselves. Potentially. That's what next week could look like. I'm going to miss the Crow screening. Some people are going to say, maybe you're not missing much. I don't know. I haven't seen anything, heard anything about it yet. I'll probably have to go check that out. But it's going to be an interesting week. But I have mentioned, and I'm going to mention it again later on down the line, I'm starting a movie watch series where I've done TV watch-alongs by myself, but I'm going to start bringing in some people, some childhood friends. My friend Alexandra, simply known as Alex. My friend Samantha, simply known as Sam. My friend Tina. Matt Serra's going to do some with us. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to bring my wife in and do some too. And people are like, uh-oh, Roxy was right. No, this is a movie series that I've never done before. They're not, I mean, they might pop in on Big Thing here and there, but this is more so for like the movie watch series that I'm going to be doing. I asked a ton of people in a community post to suggest movies. The beauty is that like these are all people who love movies, but life got in the way sometimes, and they haven't seen a lot of things. So there's going to be a lot of fun movies that maybe that I have seen that they haven't seen that I get to watch along with them. And there's been a lot of suggestions. So can you guys, those who didn't see the community post, suggest some movies? Because I know right away, like, well, I don't know what they've seen and what they haven't. Put in stuff. Because people really put in, like, the original Star Wars. They put in Rocky. They put in Inception. They put in a bunch of things. And I don't know if they have seen it. I feel like out of all of them, I feel like Tina, well, Matt Serra's probably seen the most of the movies. Maybe not. Tina's seen a lot of stuff. But I feel Sam has probably seen the least, which is going to be great. And Sam's hilarious. If you remember Collider Live, Sam used to call in, and she's hilarious. So I'm excited for you guys to meet the new peeps on the series, and we're going to start doing more of them. Going to try to start debuting them in August, and if you watch them, we'll do more of them. But we got to make sure you watch them. So at least tune into a few of them to see if you like it. All right. That being said, another thing we've been doing a lot of this channel lately are interviews. Well, I had a chance to interview Michael Emerson with Roxy Stryer, and we were so excited to get a chance to talk. You guys, Roxy's a major Lost head. I love Lost. Roxy's like a Lost fanatic. So enjoy this interview with myself and Roxy talking to Michael Emerson. And before we do, I'm going to tell you about two of our wonderful sponsors. I'm going to tell you both about Liquid IV and, of course, Raid Shadow Legends. Here you go. I was having a barbecue with the family, and I was going to go and went to pick up some games for the kids to play, and I was picking up cornhole, and while I was at the sports store getting it, I kept seeing Liquid IV, and more, I'm so excited that people are learning about Liquid IV because I've known about them now for a bit since they've been on the show. It's the summer. The summer is thick right now, and your favorite summer treat could be giving you extraordinary hydration. Liquid IV has refreshing summer flavors like popsicle firecracker, it's got rainbow sherbet. It hits the spot when you need transformative, hydrating relief all summer long. So I really do enjoy it. It's been nice to have it. I moved, and I live in a very humid area now, and it's great to have Liquid IV. It really is, and I love this popsicle one, so I'm showing it right now. So what you want to do is they have so many different flavors too that makes it just really, really fresh. And you can choose from their line of sugar-free flavors. They have raspberry melon, they have white peach, they have green grape. It's great. You can go to the website and you can find all of it. It keeps your wellness rituals fresh and to keep you motivated, keeps you hydrated. So what you want to do is you want to tear, pour, live more. One stick, 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. It's powered by LIV Hydroscience, which is an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. It's got 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So indulge in hydration this summer with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV, but you got to use liquidiv.com and use the code BIGTHING at checkout. You get 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today. Use that promo code BIGTHING at liquidiv.com. What's going on, everybody? I want to tell you about one of our sponsors today. That's Raid Shadow Legends. You've been watching this channel long enough. You've heard it's one of the only mobile RPG games that I have played. And I'm not alone. There's over 4 million users that are playing Raid Shadow Legends. It's got over 250 million downloads. It's cool because it has over 850 playable champions. It's got 16 factions to choose from. It's got over 30 bosses to take down. It's got millions and millions of builds that you can work with. So this is a game that you are not going to be bored playing. It's got monthly content updates. It's fully cross-platformed. You can play it with everybody. So do me a favor, click on the link in the description and you will see why this is one of the most downloaded RPGs and why so many people are playing it. Go and give it a shot. What's great is the second you sign up, they give you a starter pack and they give you a champion, Big Elf, Big Ears, Tyrell. He's pretty awesome. Tyrell is highly regarded as one of the big players. He's got a lot of different things that come in, and all raid players talk about how incredible he is with the arsenal that he comes with. When you reach level 25, you get another starter pack. So come join me. You can join the clan Harloff when you sign up with Raid Shadow Legends. This isn't a silly game. This isn't a stupid game. This is a fun game. This is a game that you guys know me. It takes me a while to, like, oh, am I interested? And I'm interested. I talked about this a while ago, and I'm still talking about it now. So check it out. Its link is in the description. All right, so I have Roxy Stryer with me, and it is the Thursday show. And Roxy, we had an opportunity last week. We talked to Nestor Carbonell from Shogun, and of course, one of your favorite all-time shows, Lost. It was a great conversation. We absolutely loved them. And then right afterwards, I hit you up with an email, and I said, hey, how would you feel about doing another interview with Michael Emerson, a.k.a. Ben Linus from Lost?
I think I said, fuck yeah.
I think you did.
I just love, like, these two in particular.
Yeah.
I couldn't, you made my day. It's like so cool. Also, for the people who don't know, I'm sure you put the pieces together by this point, Kristian, but like I watched every episode of the show with my mom. This was like, we were obsessed with Lost.
Yeah.
And she actually got to see the ending of Lost. It's one of the only shows that, like,
that's so great. That's so great.
It's just like, so means so much to me, and I have so many memories around the show. So now that we're talking, this is in all of the interviews you and I have done, I don't know that we've ever had a person from Lost.
I don't think so. And that was the thing I promised you, though. And I told you that when remember you were giving me crap about, well, you're going to do this, you're not going to be. I said, I promise you, you and I are going to start doing more interviews together. Didn't I not say that to you?
Honestly, I can't even deny it, Kristian. We make like the best team.
The interview team,
we're a good duo, and like,
and that's what people were worried about because we're in studio, and I said the way the technology works now, as long as it looks good and it sounds good, like this shot, I love this shot, and that's so you can't actually see this shot right now, but I love this shot.
The guests can do it digitally too, and then it looks better when we're all digital too. I think.
I mean, and I think that look, there's something that we'll be doing. I'll do some in studio stuff and other things too, but we're gonna have Michael Emerson on in just a second here, and we're gonna talk about so many things. He just finished up this show Evil, 4 seasons of that. He was on Person of Interest forever. He did the episode of Fallout. There's going to be a spoiler for Fallout for people, by the way, if you haven't seen Fallout. So just make sure you're prepared for that when we get to the Fallout portion of it. But he's just, there's just so much. So I'm excited for people to see this, and should we just let them see it, right?
I think that we should just let them see it, Kristian.
All right, everybody. So without any further ado, here is the interview with myself and Roxy and Michael Emerson. Here you go. As we just mentioned, myself and Roxy, look, man, we were, it's like a week ago, I'm talking to Nestor Carbonell, and we were going over Lost, and we were just talking about saw the amazing talent that was on that show, and you talk about amazing talent. Michael Emerson, whether you're talking about the run he just had on Evil, from the episode he did of Fallout and the impact that he had, of course, Lost, Person of Interest. I mean, the guy's career is just is an incredible story, and he's just, every time he pops up, you're in for something special. So when we were told that we were going to get him on this show, Roxy and I got very excited. So please welcome to the show today, Michael Emerson. Michael, how are you, sir?
Thank you for that most flattering introduction. I could listen to you all day.
Well, it is true. You should have heard the two of us kind of geeking out before you came on, because it's just like, you've just done such amazing stuff, Michael. I mean, from this show, the 4 seasons now you've done, Evil. The finale was August 8th, and tell me a little bit about that. Tell me about working on 4 seasons of that show and what that experience was like for you.
It was good fun, I have to say. The writing is really good. I'm a guy who follows the good writing, or I try to. So it was lots to play with. There's plenty for an actor to do with the sort of mind-bending and interesting and humorous material that I've been given to play Leland Townsend. So I was very happy to be part of the Robert and Michelle King Repertory Theater Company on this one, and I'll follow them to the ends of the earth, I think.
Do you have a ritual, or what do you do come series finale time after being part of what is considered maybe one of the most divisive finales ever? I'm imagining that finales feel different for you.
I don't give them a whole lot of thought. I guess you're referring to Lost, aren't you?
One might think one of my favorite shows of all time, by the way.
But I have to say, you can't just make a great ending. You know, long-running series, they rather dictate their own endings. And you have to kind of play by the rules that have been established in the course of the run of the show, which is, without getting into a lot of details, it's why I think the ending of Lost was the right one, and a good one, a good solid one. Because it wasn't a device, it wasn't a reveal, it wasn't like, oh my God, they were in purgatory. Well, of course they were in purgatory, metaphorically, for the entire length of the show. So, you know, that's not what it is. And so the ending is, you know, a show whose narrative was exploding in all directions is ended by bringing it all back to the center. Coming back to first moments, to origins.
Yeah, and
I thought they did that kind of perfectly.
Yeah, I know. It's funny that you say that, because I think that even when Roxy's bringing, just in general, when you talk about being part of all the amazing shows that you've been a part of, and every time you do get to that part where the series ends, the season ends, and I'm sure as a creator, when you're performing and you probably have certain ideas, like there's some things where when you have your input on parts of the script, and there's other times you don't. And so have you found that, though, whether it is Person of Interest, whether it is Evil, Lost, like where you get to the end, and well, you just explained it pretty well with Lost, but when you get to that point at the end when you're like, okay, I guess, you know, I'm that's my job, I'm going to finish up there, I wish it would have went the other way.
Yeah, well, everything must come to an end. And if you don't have final episodes, that means you don't get to go on to any other fun projects. So it's kind of all right with me. I don't get, how do I want to say this? I'm not over invested in, my identity is not composed of a role that I'm playing at the moment. I'm like a tradesman. I show up with a toolkit and I make things happen with the character I've been asked to play. And then, you know, it's up to people way above my pay grade to make the decision about whether things go on or not, or how they go on. But sometimes I also feel like, and this is kind of an acting rule for me as well, that leave them wanting more rather than overstay your welcome. That's a kind of arts principle for me. So I'd rather do less or fewer
Well, so
or more.
let me ask you that then, because in regards, because this is the same thing as we were as I mentioned in the intro, we were talking to Nestor last week, and we were talking about how TV has changed so much in general from with streaming and network. And one of the things that we had discussed with Lost is that it took because network television at that point when the show debuted in 2004 is that they did so many episodes, and at some point the writers even famously said we didn't really necessarily know where they were going. As where with streaming today, you have like you can be the benefit of having 8 episodes, 12 episodes, know exactly where you want to take it. So have you seen that kind of shift for yourself in the streaming side of it, that it's easy to where you know a little bit more of where things can pan out now, because it's not like this open-ended 22 episodes that you have to try to fill things in?
Yeah. I mean, we've come a long way, from the days when they shot Gunsmoke, 36 episodes on cardboard sets, that we just can't take it anymore. And I'm happy of the trend to shorter seasons. It's okay with me. It lets you do other things occasionally and maybe have a life at the same time. And I think it's a plus for whoever the creative people are that are involved, whether it's writers or performers, artisans and designers. You're not being pressed to, come up with something that's any level, 22 times in a given year. It's exhausting. So I'm always kind of pleased to hear. I was pleased when Lost started to diminish the number of episodes, and I'm sure the writers' room was as well.
Go ahead.
It brings some pressures with it. This whole deal of, okay, we've promised publicly that we're going to wrap this popular series in 28 episodes or whatever it was that Damon and Carlton announced at that time. But I thought, great, give them an end date. Then we don't have to discuss that any longer. And now we'll get down to the business of making 28 or 26 or however many episodes, make them the best we possibly can.
I like the leave them wanting more. I remember at the time when Lost had ended, you did an interview where you were talking about, I think Evangeline Lilly and Matthew Fox had said, like, we're done, we're never coming back. And you said something like, let's give it 10 years and reassess how everybody's feeling, because you might want to venture back with a little bit of distance from Lost to now. When you look back, are you feeling itchy to go back to Lost, or do you want to kind of keep it on the back burner?
Oh, I don't spend any time thinking about going back to Lost. I don't see how that could happen. I get it.
Pitches for you. I
get it that it's a piece of intellectual property and that it's owned by whoever, and that people can get the rights to it and do what they please with it. But you're talking about a tall order of writing.
Yeah.
Because you can't go back and like, we're just going to go back and pick up at the end of season 6 and just continue. No. You can't do that. You're never going to get that cast. You can't put it back in the bottle. You can't make it be 2004 again.
Yeah.
You can't get that cast. You can't. And I'm not even sure the storyline and the devices that were so fresh and inventive at that time, I'm not sure they will still play. So it would have to be something kind of new and off the wall and coming in from a completely different point of view or perspective with new characters and a new narrative.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, I think you said it though in there without really saying it too. I'm sure that because it's a property that somebody owns, that whether right or wrong, or they crack it, I think eventually someone's going to say, well, now, we can take somebody back to the island now. And whether that's good or bad, we'll find out when eventually, if it does happen. But I did like what you were saying there, Michael, also, where it's like, you focus in on what you're doing, you're brought in to do the job. And then it's like, okay, after I'm done with the job, I want to go on and I want to move to the next. And you've done that brilliantly, the stuff that you've done, whether it's, I mean, the amount of stuff that you have been in, and you do seem to be in like the network space, right? There's a lot of these network shows that you continue to do, and that is I mean, for an actor, I would assume is a heavy load with working in the network system.
It is. You know, Person of Interest was an example
Yeah.
of a sort of careful what you wish for
Yeah.
kind of scenario, because it was so many episodes every year, and not all of them were of the very best. Many of them were, but it's a lot to write. It's a lot to perform, and even your cast and crew, they get tired after a while. So,
yeah.
My Grammy would fight you on the fact that they weren't all the very best. It is her favorite show.
well, that's sweet, and I know the show has, serious fans. And
you said that your younger fans typically are Lost people, your older fans are Person of Interest people. Is that happening on the street still, or that's the two demographics of the people who are coming up to you?
Well, no, now the calendar's rolled over so many times that now it's young people whose parents watched Lost are now watching Lost, sometimes with their parents.
Right.
So I'm getting I'm getting all ages now. And I'm getting people that watched it 20 years ago and people who are just now watching it.
Right. And that's what I meant beforehand with like how streaming has just changed the game so much with the people.
Yeah.
Because what's funny about that is my daughter's 12 and she's always looking for new things. And I said to her that the other day she's watching Cobra Kai right now. She's obsessed with Cobra Kai. So I said, you know what, honey? I was like, you know what? And I said to my wife, because we were both massive Lost fans, I said, you know what would be great is if she watched Lost. And my wife's like, that's a commitment. And I was like, it is. And I showed her the trailer and she's like, it looks really good, but it looks really intense for me right now. And I want to watch Cobra Kai, but I want to watch Lost because I know her. She's like, I don't need a hyperfixation right now, but I'll get to it, because it's just one of those things we were all kind of, really locked into. But, and the shows that you've been working on, the shows that you have been doing some other great things too. Voiceover work. You've been doing, Roxy and I were talking how you've been doing a lot of stuff with DC. You've been doing things with
Brainiac on My Adventures as Superman. Yeah. And then before, I loved you on Arrow as well. I'm hoping that you're DC camp all the way.
Well, I was also a Joker.
Yes,
I know.
Yes, you were.
Batman
animated, and that's the other camp, isn't it?
It is. Well, so DC. Well, you've got DC, and you've done this. So have you had any meetings with James Gunn since he, kind of took over and the stuff that he's doing? Have there been any conversations with James Gunn in DC?
I'm laughing because I don't know. Maybe there are actors that are more highly placed than I am that take meetings with those kinds of guys, but I am not one of them. That surprises me. I meet the writers of the shows I'm on, much less like pitch deals or coming up with something at a cocktail party. That is so not my life.
That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Like because we were just talking before you came on, I said, you got to assume, because that show and the stuff, like whether it's Saw, whether it's Lost, but Lost in general, what you did, you scared the shit out of people with that. But it was such a lasting impression with what you did and the depth that you gave to Ben. But there's so many fans of that show. Now, whether it's somebody that you just meet on the street, who's whatever, at a restaurant, a laundromat, no matter where it is. And then there's somebody like a James Gunn or somebody else who are massive fans that I'm so surprised that you say that you're not, that I would have put you in a DC movie or Marvel or Star Wars movie years ago.
Well, there may have been opportunities that came across the desk of my representatives at some time or another, but I was committed or, sort of tied up with a series. Because I've had, as you said, and I've been blessed to have a lot of long-running shows where I get tied up for years. So some opportunities have passed me by, but it's okay because I seem to land on the shows I'm supposed to land on.
Yeah.
And again, that's based on writing. And what I mean by that is I get on shows where a careful actor like myself can make a difference with the right kind of material, and I seem to end up, and maybe it's not even accidental, I seem to end up in those parts where it has to be, where the way it's delivered makes a difference.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I'm still with you though, Kristian, that this is shocking to me because it's like you go back, you finish Lost, and Rolling Stone, Collider, every single TV Line, CBR, IMDb, Entertainment Weekly, they all name you one of the top 10 villains of all time. Of all time. So you finish that, and then you think right now, especially with the wave that we're in, with the comic book movies, Star Wars movies, Lord of the Ring, Harry Potter, the huge franchises, you think that you're just like the absolute first call to play a big bad in one of these franchises. I know you're saying maybe things have passed you by, but there's still a whole future. Is that something that you would want to do? Something you would like to work on? A big franchise movie as a villain? Or are you like, television is my jam?
No, I've never had those kind of boundaries. I just kind of, I just, all I can do is respond to the offers that come my way, or the auditions that come my way. And, some things just haven't worked out yet. And that's all right. I have to say, I'm not a passionate follower of superhero material.
Yeah. That's fair.
So,
okay. Yeah, no, of course. And then there's also, when it looks at that stuff, and how it's amazing how those types of genres, whether it's the superhero genres, like the video game genre where you just did Fallout, right? So like, and with Fallout, that the video game industry transferring over to film and television was very tough. And it was this year with Fallout and I guess previously with Last of Us that it was a little bit more of a transition. That's a show that I would love to see you on, is The Last of Us. I mean, you would fit in like a glove. Do you watch that show, Michael?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you should. It is
Last of Us.
The Last of Us. It's with Pedro Pascal, and it's on HBO. And
wait, yes, he's tracking with the with the girl who has the right DNA. And,
yes.
And there's sort of fungal zombie element.
Yes, that's exactly right.
That's the one.
That's the one. And you would fit in. Roxy, am I wrong? You would fit in like a glove.
You're absolutely right. And I think especially because we're clumping Last of Us and Fallout together, because those were two of our favorite shows that were pretty close to each other. But I have to talk to you about Fallout because, okay, first of all, you did such an unbelievable job on that show, but your head is still in play. Like, your body is no longer there, but your head is still in play.
The head goes on.
The
head goes on, but that's your head. I'm sure it looks a little different, but it's still your head. Are you thinking, when you're watching, are you having any conversations? Are you thinking like, my head's going to be making a ton of appearances, I'm coming back to that show? Or where are you at with Fallout right now?
I think I'm done.
Done.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the character's killed off. But then all of that contractual business was settled before they knew it was a success, or before they knew that they would do more seasons and things. So there's always flashbacks and parallel dimensions and voices from the past. That kind of stuff. And they still have the heads.
Yeah,
somewhere in a box.
It's hilarious. I mean, yeah.
So
as you mentioned, whether it's the comic book stuff, not really your forte, but what is the stuff more so that you, and then not even as a performer, but someone, if you're going to go and you're going to watch a movie, and you're going to go and you're going to kick back and you're going to watch a film, what's your first go to? Are you picking out dramas? Are you picking out who's some of your directors that you're watching? Yeah, any favorites that come to mind?
I guess among my favorite directors are lots of foreign directors, and I have to say I enjoy watching movies with people in them that I don't already know.
Yeah,
so that I'm not a person that will go to Tom Cruise's next movie, or not to pick on him.
I know what you're saying.
Just like the usual suspects. not the movie, but the concept of the A-list regulars. It takes a little more.
Yeah. Is that for you because it's easier for you to disappear for the person that pops up because you don't know who they are, and then you automatically just see them as the character, and it's easy for you to do it that way as opposed to, well, that's Tom Cruise, so I know that's Tom Cruise and I can't connect to it the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I it's better if I don't have like all kinds of historical and back catalog associations with people. It's kind of just better if they're all strangers.
Yeah.
That's got to be difficult because your wife is also a massive star. Does that mean that you're like, I can't watch your stuff, I know you, I can't see any of it?
Oh, no. We watch her stuff religiously. At our house, we watch it every time one of our shows airs. That's a family dinner party, and then we have viewing after. And
who's invited?
We in-laws, nephews.
And everybody watches with you. Does it make you uncomfortable when you're the star of the show and everybody's in there?
Oh, no. It's because it just makes it more fun. Because then, people will laugh or make fun or scream or I can't believe you said that. It's really a party atmosphere, and we have a good time.
Did you tell anybody that your head was getting chopped off in the fall? Or did you let them figure that out for themselves?
Because my family is real itchy about spoilers.
Yeah.
So I think we kept that. But the head gets severed in the early going.
Right.
I mean, that's the end of the second episode.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're done with me. And but yeah, they all screamed when that moment happened. And then they had to watch the head slowly deteriorate over the next 6 episodes.
Are you sitting there just laughing in the background as they're losing their minds?
Yeah.
That's great. So many comments lately about everybody that's buying the Tushies. And I see why you're buying them. I love them. You love them. Chris Carr loves them. Everybody loves the Tushies. I'm so excited to get you guys to get a Tushy that I almost thought about doing this from the bathroom. But then I was like, no, I want you to get it. It's terrible. That's a terrible thing for me to do. But I want to do it because I want to show you how much I love the Tushies. Check this out alone. Look at this. Just open up the toilet lid. You spray the water right in your tush. It's wonderful. Look at that. That's how it works. It's that easy. You put it on the toilet. You open it up. You spray the water on your butt. It's lovely. It's going to change the way that you think about cleaning up after a spicy dump in a coffee shop or a porta potty during a music festival. You're going to want to take Tushy with you everywhere, and thankfully you can. Because the Tushy Travel, it's collapsible, it's durable, and discreet portable bidet that gives you the most confident clean on the go. I keep telling people about these things. Everybody are getting the Tushies now, and everyone's like, oh man, can I use your code? Can I use your code? Of course you can. It's the best. I got one. I've got 2 in my house right now, and it is so wonderful. We feel classy in this house. It's got a 3-stream nozzle for a total clean. It's got a new air mesh bag for discreet travel, faster dry time. It comes in 5 new colors. Every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and 12-month warranty. So stop wiping until you bleed. Join the 2 million butts who have already made the switch to Tushy. For a limited time only, our listeners get 10% off your entire order, but you got to use that code BIGTHING. 10% off Hello Tushy, HELLTUSHY.com with the promo code BIGTHING. Hymns. Guys, when we leave the house, whether you got your phone, wallet, keys, how's your hair look? But if you're experiencing hair loss, you may not be so confident when you step outside your door. You got to get confident again. And you got to restore your hair. And you do it with Hims. Because nobody wants to lose your hair. And for men, it's common. And now with Hims, the solution is simple. You try Hims Hair Loss Solutions, and you'll be joining hundreds of thousands of subscribers who got their flow back. Hims provides access to a range of hair loss treatments that work all the way from the comfort of your couch. They offer personalized chewable, orable, spray, and serum treatment options so you can find what works best for you. The process is simple and 100% online. Just answer a few questions, and a medical provider will determine if the treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment is sent directly to your door. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, so if you feel like you're losing a part of yourself with your hair loss, get Hims and get your confidence back. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/bigthing, HIMS.com/bigthing for your personalized hair loss treatment options. So that's hims.com/bigthing. Results vary based on studios of topical and oral mixodal. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. And you're originally, but you live in New York now, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, myself as well. And then but you're originally you're not from New York originally though, or you moved there when you were younger?
No, I grew up in a little farm town in Iowa.
Oh wow! So how did you? And I guess that's the question I'm sure you've gotten time. How do you decide at one point that you want to leave Iowa and you want to go and you want to pursue this this dream?
I don't know. I was a kid who did a lot of reading and watched a lot of TV and loved the movies, and I was not an athlete. So to sort of set myself apart and to have fun.
Yeah.
I did drama club and speech and debate in high school and kind of got hooked on it then.
Did you know right away that whether I'm going to New York, I'm going to, because I would assume if you went to New York first, you're going because of the theater scene?
I moved to New York when I got out of my undergrad program. Okay. I went to college in Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
But I had a girlfriend that was moving to New York, so I followed her there. It probably wasn't the best idea. Well, I mean, because I couldn't figure out how to get started.
Okay.
So for many years,
it worked out.
For many years, I worked other jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you took a huge chunk break. I guess at the time you didn't even consider it a break when you were an illustrator before you
Correct.
came back.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk about coming back and feeling like you were so grateful that you were in your 30s. Your personality was already established so that you knew who you were. But was there one moment where you were like, I'm going to give this a go? Or was it kind of just a gradual, I can't let my dream pass me by?
I think when another romantic entanglement took me to Florida and I was high and dry with bridges burnt. I didn't even have anybody to draw pictures for then. So it was odd job time, survival jobs. And I started doing community theater. And I was good at it. And I thought, okay, but let's at least do the thing that feels good. Let's at least do the thing that suits our set of talents. And I've been sort of clawing my way back north ever since.
So that's what you're in Florida, and then you wind up going back to New York after that, or you go back, or you hit LA after that?
I went to I did a lot of theater in the Southeast, going from town to town, doing these non-union gigs, and, and eventually my friends in Jacksonville said, "You've done all you can do in Northeast Florida. You got to get up and out of here. You got to go work with, people that take it more seriously." And I eventually somebody referred me to the Alabama Shakespeare Festival in Montgomery, which I'm going to Saturday night to receive an Alumni Achievement Award.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, it's where I got my master's degree.
Great. That's great.
And I went there thinking I could get off the survival job treadmill and work with the pros and sharpen up my tool kit. And I met Carrie at Alabama doing a production of Hamlet. She was a New Yorker. So when I graduated from Alabama, then I followed her to New York City.
Interesting.
And
have you ever lived in LA?
We had, in the Lost days, when Carrie was doing True Blood, we had a little house out there for 7 or 8 years. But then when we stopped having any work on the west side of the continent, then we didn't know what to do with the house. So eventually we sold it.
Yeah. And
now we're all East Coast.
You just called you back there. Yeah, it seems that was the thing. You're very, it's similar to that when I hear you tell these that you originally left to get to New York in the first place to follow a relationship, go to Florida to follow a relationship. You get lucky enough this time you follow a relationship to your now wife.
This time it worked out.
This time it worked out.
But it didn't work out instantly. I got up here. I was, I was in my early 40s.
Yeah.
And I got, I was working retail and auditioning and doing every reading and workshop that I could find, but I lucked out. I got into a thing that got mounted in the Village, and the critics loved it, and it ran for 2 years off Broadway, and I've worked as an actor since then.
Yeah, so I mean that journey alone, because you say that because it didn't right away. So when you go there and does that work where because having a wife who understands and is working, because sometimes I was just talking to somebody recently who's in this business, not necessarily an actor, but in this business tour, and they're having this conversation with their significant other who's not in the business and doesn't really understand, like wants to support, but doesn't really, but the struggle doesn't get it all the way because not in it. But someone when you're, I guess, girlfriend at the time, now wife is, and you're struggling to get that gig. Is there strain at that point? And she's like, no, I get it. I understand. Keep going. Or is like, does it ever tear on the relationship a little bit? Because like the normal relationships do. I'm just curious because you're both performers. If maybe there's more of an understanding there.
Yeah, it was never dangerous for us. It didn't go on for a long time. If you mean she's working and I'm not.
Yeah, more so.
Yeah, that didn't go on for too long. Look, I had given myself, because I knew it wasn't necessarily going to work out.
Yeah.
But I thought, all right, I'll give New York a couple of years. If I can't work here, I'll go back south because I knew I could work down there, and she and I will figure things out. But fortunately, I got a break in New York City.
Yeah.
Before the 2 years were up.
So you're okay. So yeah, go ahead, Rox. Go ahead.
Well, you had this beautiful quote. You said, no one who has a skill will remain unemployed their whole career. The question is, can you wait long enough? And I love that because I think that that's what a lot of people who are hanging on by a thread tell themselves. If you're talented, you're not going to be unemployed for 90 years. At some point, something will work. It's about just kind of like outlasting it all. When you decided to really give this a go and come back and you were like, okay, I'm really going to try this. Was there a moment where you thought, never mind, I'm going to bail on it again? Or from then on, did you just tell yourself, if I just hang in, eventually it will stick?
No, I never thought about bailing. Well, I had all my eggs in this basket.
Mm-hmm.
There was no plan B. I've hardly ever had a plan B. And I certainly didn't this time out. So it was acting or nothing.
Yeah.
And I had enough sort of personal epiphanies, if you could call them that, when I was at grad school. I had come to understand that this was what I did best, and that I would never walk away from it.
Well, yeah, it's amazing. So
with that comes a kind of confidence.
You have the role when you do, and you're on Broadway for 2 years, and then when does it start to move into the television gigs, and then how does that road start to like, okay, I'm confident now, I'm feeling good, like I stuck with it, and now it's just moving?
Well, if there was a good answer to that question, or an easy one, it would be incredible. I don't know how these things happen, except you get seen, and then you get auditions sometimes. But it doesn't. One thing does not follow on the heels of another. For example, I played a serial killer. It was my first TV part on The Practice.
Which you won an Emmy for, so congratulations.
Right. So it was good. It was a good part. And so you think, wow, I guess I'm off to the races, but not really. What followed was, predictably, a bunch of offers to play serial killers. But none of them were near as good as that first one. So then I'm doing theater regionally for quite a number of years before I got the call from Lost. They remembered me, I guess, from that show somehow.
Wow.
So you got a call for an audition, or did Lost call you for a direct offer because they had seen you in the Practice?
They called with an offer.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I didn't know that.
were you like, okay, now I'm going to just do this and it's going to be a one-off? Because I know obviously you weren't going to be a regular at first. They were testing the waters with you.
Yeah.
Was the pressure on? You're thinking, I got to kill this so that I can be here for years to come? Or what's the thought process?
No, it was kind of a low pressure affair. The offer was 3 episodes as a guest spot. So I thought, okay, it's wintertime in New York. It might be nice to be there for, 5 or 6 weeks. And so I went, but as it worked out, it was some kind of test or working audition, if you will. And it's a test that I passed, apparently. I mean, it's a character actor's dream come true to be asked to do something small, and then they like what you do so much that they never let you go home.
Yeah.
At that time, you did not know you were going to be playing Benjamin Linus. You think you're playing Midwest balloon guy,
Henry Gale. Yeah.
Henry Gale. When do you find out, no, this is what we're doing?
Well, they were loath to tell me. It was a long time. I don't know how many episodes I did before it started to seem odd. Why am I still here? And but everybody's very closed mouthed. That show is very script security conscious.
Yeah.
So there was not a lot of talk, and certainly I wasn't in conversations with the writer's room or anything like that. But I did once, just joking. I went to the director of I don't know, it was my 4th or 5th episode. And I said, what would be really funny is if it turns out that I'm the leader of the others.
Oh, wow.
And the guy blinked at me a couple of times and says, I can't discuss that with you.
That's incredible. What a fun story.
So I thought, what's going on now?
And then when do you realize that your idea is actually the direction they're going? Like, are you just delivered a script and it says Benjamin Linus and you're like, okay, here we go?
No, it happened more gradually than that. But the idea was in my head ever since that conversation. And I saw it kind of coming at me. But I'm a newcomer. I'm new to that family. I'm not pals with the cast or anything. I have no one to talk to or to share this speculation that I've stumbled upon. So, I'm just staying in my humble hotel room and waiting for the next script.
And then it eventually does happen. Does that change though, that dynamic where you do start to become, more and more of a cast member, and then the dynamic with the cast that's there, does that relationship change with the people that have been there, or were you just pretty much, because you seem like, I was going to also couple that question with the idea, you don't seem like someone that got caught up in the hype of the success of that show. I could see where there's a lot of people who did, from talking to you so far, just in the last 35 minutes or so, you just seem like, no, it's the job. I'm excited that it's doing well. Eventually it will end, but I'm having a great time doing what I'm doing. I'm not getting caught up. I have my family, and I'm going to go do my next thing when this is over. It seems that's who you are. But do you ever get caught up in that hype, and do you connect with those people on that show?
No, as I say, I was a newcomer, and I had a healthy look. When you're a guest actor, a character actor like me, you just there's a set of kind of behaviors, manners, protocols that you employ. You go in, you keep your head down, you don't try to make fast friends on day one with big TV stars or anything like that. You just make sure you do your work right. Make sure that you don't cost the production any extra time or sweat about anything. Know your lines, come in, be pleasant, professional, all of that. So, but I also understood, and this was a time when the narrative of Lost in the middle of season 2 was getting kind of fraught, and there were characters that were about to disappear or be killed off or stuff like that. So I also sort of understood that this is not the kind of job where you go to the Hawaiian Islands and buy a house.
Right.
Because
it could be over
But some
tomorrow.
people did.
Correct.
Understood.
Understood.
Okay, so something that you need to know about me as I venture into a couple questions to you is that I am a diehard Lost fan. I watch 120 shows a year, so I'm a diehard TV fan. But television really sticks with me. And so I have a couple of questions for you that you might not remember the answers to, which is totally okay. But one of them is that I remember you talking about when you were shooting, when they were being so tight-lipped about things on Lost, and you were shooting the scene where John Locke ends up in a coffin, that you guys didn't even know if it was going to be him because there was two dummies that you also shot that with. Who were the two other people that you shot that with that you guys thought might end up in the coffin?
It was two other regular characters on the show that could plausibly have been the victim, but I can't remember who it was. And we shot, I mean, it seemed silly at the time. Are you kidding me? We're going to shoot this scene with 3 different actors just so that the company doesn't know.
Right.
But you know,
That's what they did.
But then the actors who are shooting that, are they feeling like, oh my God, is it going to be me? Like they don't even know if it's themselves?
Yeah, I guess so. I feel like, could Sawyer have been one of them?
That would be crazy.
But I can't remember. Yeah, but you're right. But whoever the others were, it did not fool anyone in the inner circle, I have to say. Because to me, the only one that made sense was Terry.
I agree.
And you could, if you were on the set that day, you could see which character got the most camera attention.
So you guys kind of felt you had an understanding without saying out loud. You guys knew it was going to be Terry.
Yeah. So I don't know who they were. They weren't protecting themselves from series regulars because by then we had so many rules and protocols in place.
What? What were some of the rules?
You know, the watermarked scripts, scripts that were colors that didn't reproduce well, and you know, flat rules about not sharing scripts with publicists, representatives, management, and any of that stuff. It was all because I think they had some problems with it before I was even there.
That makes sense.
People have become so entitled about this show because 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42, the smoke monster, every single theory that people had, and there was a lot of open-ended stuff. I think it's ridiculous that people want all of the answers. That's not what the show is meant to do. It's supposed to have you think about things and ask questions.
Yeah.
But it is fun to theorize, which I'm sure you guys did on set. Did you have any crazy theories that you remember about the show where you just inside were like, this is what I think is happening with any of the open-ended questions?
We spent a lot of time talking about this stuff, you know, in between takes, you know, and Jorge was always a great one for the theories. And they were always fairly plausible because we were on the show. We kind of had a feeling about what was a likely possibility and what was just too far out. So they were, I would say they were generally fairly close. Nothing really haywire. There may have been some that I don't remember.
Did you predict anything that you were like, yes, Michael, got that one?
Yeah, he did it. Ben Linus being the others.
Well, yeah, I did.
True.
I predicted my own character arc, but beyond that, and there was so much in the last season that was hard to figure out.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we weren't trying to predict a thing. We were just trying to figure out what it meant. This scene we're shooting today, where are we? Is it real? No, is it future, past, another? Are we in a parallel dimension? Are we in the potential life that we could have had if? But then what went wrong? Why are we now in the potential life and not in the lived life on the island? It was
wow. So they really didn't give you any of that stuff to. And is that also to keep you guessing, or also maybe they didn't necessarily know?
Well, I did not require those answers. Yeah. For me, and this is, I suppose, Lost is where I learned this habit, which is I don't care what happened before, after, or anywhere else. All I'm responsible is for this scene. This scene we're shooting this day, and these lines, and I need to make that work.
Oh, that's what I said. And that's why I said about what I've kind of seen so far from talking to you, where you were probably just like, yeah, I'm focusing on the work. I'm done it. So when Lost finishes, you're obviously grateful for the opportunity. It brings forward other opportunities. Were you supposed to do a show with Terry O'Quinn, weren't you, at one point, right? What happened there?
Yeah, we made the rounds. We sat in some executive office suites and pitched this idea that we had, which was a cute and a funny idea. It was because we had done so much combat on Lost, and where no one was ever hurt that badly, and your wounds and bruises would heal by the next episode. We thought, let's tell the truth about that. We are men of a certain age, and if we get hit, we don't get up off the ground. We need help.
Preach.
And we can't show our bloody, bruised faces for weeks. Yeah. So let's do a show about some hapless losers that are our age. We're con men, and we're going from town to town, but we're bad con men, and we always get caught out and get our asses kicked.
Yeah. And
then have to limp on to some other town. I mean, that was sort of the gag, to be the anti-Lost heroes.
Yeah.
But.
So what happened with that one? So it got close though, yeah.
Yeah, but this is, you can't. You have to have something on paper. You have to have a script.
Yeah.
And we had neither written any script. I couldn't write a script. I think Terry had dabbled in it some, but so the studios would assign writers, but the writers couldn't help themselves. They always made the characters heroic again. That they had special powers, not superpowers, but they were good at things.
And that's not the vision you guys had.
A little judo or something, right. Or they were just super clever.
Yeah.
This is a good assignment. Someone out there has to write a spec script for this. If you get the good script, then you guys can reshop this, because it's even better now.
It's even better now, for sure. And we need good comedies. Yeah. It's true.
So you've stayed in touch with Terry. You guys have a friendship. But I've also heard you speak about how afterwards, and today you've even mentioned it, after you shoot something, you are really on to the next. It's not like you can stay in touch with everybody you've ever worked with. Which cast altogether that you've been a part of has stayed the closest?
Oh my goodness. Mostly we don't. I mean, you have friends. You have particular scene partners or friends that you're lucky enough to be able to survive the ending of the project. And by which I mean people scattered to the four corners of the earth and doing other work with other actors. So, the fact that Terry and I still talk and we get together if we're in the same place, it's really nice and fortunate and unusual, I think.
That's great. So, and then where you now have, I want to see what, because you had mentioned as far as being able sometimes to relax a little bit after being able to be in. You've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to continue working from the stuff that you did, whether the amounts of episodes that you did for Person of Interest. So you just wrapped 4 seasons of this show. You're doing voice work. Do you get a chance now, because this was this was the series finale, and so do you get a chance now to chill out for a little bit, relax, or are you right on? You looking for the next thing right now?
No, I'm not a hungry guy. I'm going to take some time off. Plus, Carrie has begun filming the second season of Elspeth.
Oh, cool.
And since she's Elspeth, she's every day from dawn to dark. She's in every scene. So
Do you
I
go to
thought,
set ever?
huh?
You go to set ever?
I went, actually, I poked my head in yesterday because I was in the neighborhood, and there's a lot of crew from Evil that have gone over to Elsbeth. So I know people over there. The director of her present episode has directed on Evil. So there was a lot of people to say hello to. And that was nice, but I don't like to stay too long because I feel I'm a distraction and I'm in the way. And I think it's always good to get the hell out of there and let people work.
That's fair. I mean, I love that already with this, just from talking to you here, and the idea of the way that you go after stuff and the way that you present yourself and just take your work, the way that you take your work. I really do appreciate the approach to it. And I think that the idea that you're able to do that, and I'm sure you feel fortunate that you can take that break and chill. What's some of the stuff that you're going to do right now to relax? What does Michael Emerson do to kick back? Do you go on a little vacation? Do you take walks? Do you read books? What do you do to chill out?
Well, all of the above. I mean, there won't be much in the way of vacations because Carrie's working.
Yeah.
But I do the stuff I ordinarily do. I mean, Carrie and I are like a tag team. We're like an acting couple, and we are like one company, one team. And so if she's got a heavy load right now, I'm kind of happy to be the housekeeper. I'm kind of happy to be at home a little more, to receive the packages and walk the dog, and make sure the house is in order, that there's food in the fridge, and
yeah,
look after her a little bit.
I'm sure this is a complicated answer, but you guys have been together, I think, 25 years now.
30.
30, wow. And we see a lot of Hollywood couples not be able to figure out what you guys clearly have figured out. What's the secret? How are you guys doing this?
Good fortune, I guess. It helps that we met later in life, I guess. And I don't know, we've just had the right ground rules from the beginning. We were never competitive with one another. We were careful about some things, never have the same agent, never have the same publicist, never set up a thing where you could feel like you weren't getting someone's full attention and your spouse was. We've just, that has never been an issue for us. We support each other's work. We don't talk a lot of shop, and we don't rehearse at home.
You don't rehearse at home at all?
We learn lines.
But
I don't. It's not the way I work. I don't need someone at home to run the scene with. I'll just learn them solo. She likes that a little better, but she has other people that she rehearses scenes with.
Smart, so that way you guys can just be present to each other and not. And it's great advice. Michael, it was an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing. I know you're going to wind up popping into another one of my favorite things like tomorrow. I'm sure you're gonna try to take a break. They're not going to let you. And James Gunn's watching. James Gunn's got to get you in the DC movie. I know it's.
I'm probably going to run into him on the street now.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure we willed it to happen. The butterfly effect will cause that, I'm sure. But again, thank you so much. Congratulations on the 4 seasons of Evil. Congratulations on the entire run, everything. And thank you for being here today with us. We truly do appreciate it.
Thanks. It was really nice talking to both of you. I feel like this This was a very grown-up conversation, and it was fun.
Thank you.
Thank
That
you.
is very,
We
very
pride
kind.
ourselves on that.
I will. Oh, I would be mad at myself if I didn't ask before you left too, because we did have when as I mentioned to you that Nestor Carbonell was on the show, and he had nothing but glowing words for you and his experience working with you. You see him, what he just did with Shogun, and how he was just nominated for that role.
Fantastic.
Right. I was going to ask you any words about Nestor before I let you go.
I was blown away by that multilingual Portuguese sailor that he played. He transformed himself. I thought, all right, there's a character actor after my own heart to make himself look different, to have this outsized Falstaffian personality and do beautiful dialect work and stuff. I just, it made me want to scream. It was so good.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
It was fantastic. Brilliant. Hats off to him.
Yeah.
I think he's following in your Emmy footstep. Hopefully
I hope so.
The W on that.
I hope so. All right. Once again, Michael, thank you so much for joining us here today. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. All right. Thank you to all of our wonderful sponsors that you saw during those breaks. And as I always mention, if you can, obviously get yourself something. We want you to have something special, something wonderful. But I also put those links in there. If you click on those links, you're like, I just can't financially, I can't do that. Fine. But you can click on the link. That helps. It helps out tremendously. Browse around, take a look. All right, Rox. We had
Kristian
on Michael Emerson. Was he everything that you wanted him to be?
Yeah, it's like crazy to hear his voice, Kristian, because he's scary. But then he's so nice and normal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you listen to him, it's like, oh my God. But then
Ben
he
Linus.
just, yeah, exactly. What a cool dude. And what a normal, nice, I don't mean normal like he's not a massive star. I just mean, yeah. And then when we wrapped, he was like, what did he say to us, Kristian? That was a very adult, great conversation.
And it's true. I mean, you look at us, and we're not expecting that. But it was a great conversation, and I learned so much about him in less than an hour because I could tell immediately, and I was kind of hinting at it when I was talking to him, as you saw, why he's as successful as he is. And you can also tell that if we would have pressed him a little bit more, maybe we would have gotten some stuff to where it felt like there were people who probably took themselves a little too serious on Lost. There are probably people who got caught up in all of it. He was not one of those people because it looks like because the maturity and the life that he's had, he knew that job would not be there necessarily tomorrow. It might be there tomorrow, but it won't be there the day after that. And if it is, it won't be there the day after that. And
there's an amazing moment where he's like, that's why you don't go buy a house in Hawaii. I said, some people did. And he said, I
think he said correct. He said correct, which killed me. It was hilarious. Yeah, but then he talked, and then when he talked about the rules with his wife about why they're so successful, those things, it's like, yeah, you can tell he's very there's a reason why he knows that there's certain things you got to do. And how he answered the question about when his wife was working, he wasn't. Well, lucky enough, we didn't have to go through that long, but we also knew they believed in each other, all those types of things. And and he's clearly a guy who followed his heart. He followed the two relationships, one to New York, one to Florida, and then he got lucky and followed the one that worked back to New York again.
Yeah.
It was a cool
and
story.
I love that he said right now, while she's on Elsbeth, that he is happy to take care of the home. It's like men and women who don't have this ego attached to being a star, which he is. He is a star. Right. But he's like, all right now, she's Elsbeth on Elsbeth. So that means that
I got to do my shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but what's hilarious is that he clearly does not see himself as a star. He sees himself like it, because that's the thing that people don't realize, right? When it clearly comes to that acting as much as a job as anything else is a job, because to him, that's his profession. It's what he does. It's his job. He's like, when people got to go to work, I go to work, I do this thing, and that's my job. So no, I'm not any better than anybody else. I'm not this, I'm not famous. And what he said, he's like, I don't take those types of meetings with those guys. So which is still crazy to me.
Crazy. I mean, if James Gunn, if you're watching this, give him a call. It's just
I'm clipping
anybody.
out. I'm going to clip it out and tag James Gunn, by the way, whether he watches it or not. I'm clipping that out.
Shocked.
Yeah. How do you,
It's shocking.
yeah, how do you not put Michael Emerson in everything?
Everything. I
Yeah.
mean, if you are DC or Marvel or Star Wars, it's like he's got to be on a short list for sure. He's got to be on a short list of we need a big bad.
Right. I know it's weird how the people. I mean, but look, there's so many people out there that it's like that's also the job of his agent. You know.
But think about true. I was thinking that too. Who I'm sure is great, but like think about like Giancarlo Esposito after Breaking Bad.
That's
Like
great example. Great example. I mean, how much? I mean, maybe the answer is a lot, but I can't imagine because I would definitely not peg Michael Emerson as he says as a comic book movie guy. He's not. He said it as much. He didn't put shit on him. He's just like, that's not my thing.
yeah.
But how much is Giancarlo Esposito? Maybe he is, but it doesn't seem like it is. It's just
Right.
the agent's got to pick up the call. But what Michael Emerson also said, he's been busy for the last how many years? He was a person of interest for so many years. You know, he's on this.
It seems like he's loyal to the shows he's on because he
Yes.
said, some opportunities passed me by.
Yeah.
And I would have to venture a guess that he was offered certain things that he could not take unless he reneged his contract. So like that is kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm bummed that I didn't ask what.
I don't think that he wanted to say.
Yeah. And I also don't think, because the way he hinted at it at first was that he said, oh, I'm sure certain things popped up on the desk.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, every time I thought about being like, what?
Yeah.
I think that you only want to nail down somebody to make them say something if you think that they're a jackass. Like
Right.
him, I'm not trying to get in trouble. And clearly he didn't want to say the answer. Or he would have just given it up. The only thing I'm so happy though, that I nailed that. I was like, okay, Sawyer, man, they filmed Sawyer in the coffin.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That was
you
cool.
got to be kidding me.
He thinks. He doesn't necessarily remember.
Yeah,
He thinks.
But like, I remember him saying there were 3 people that they shot it. Imagine being one of those 3 people. You're Josh Holloway. You're getting in the coffin.
I know,
You're
and
like,
you think you think it's over. So either way, it was a really fun conversation. I really like talking to that guy a lot. I would like him. I'm hoping because maybe, as we start doing this more and he does get something else too, and we can like to get him in studio. Maybe we can get you in studio too. So we'll do the old school thing, but we have a lot of cool things coming up, a lot of interviews. That was one for sure. I got Jennifer Esposito coming in studio. Did I tell you that?
No, you didn't tell me that. Wow, Kristian, you're booking like great guests.
I'm trying
right
to,
now.
yeah, she's coming in the studio. She's got a movie coming out. I'm working on some other ones that could be pretty fun. So there's stuff, and we have that Clips channel. The Clips channel is doing.
How's the Clips channel doing?
It's doing pretty good. We had the Robert Eiler clips really took off. There's one clip that did like over 250,000. There's a couple of the Murr from Impractical Jokers clips that took off. There's a few David Castaneda clips that took off. Nestor's
Murr is used to going viral, so I'm sure that's.
I'm sure Nestor's going up soon. All those clips, so that will go up. I'm putting some old Amber Mid Thunder stuff up there. There's Diego Luna clips up there. So there's tons of stuff up there, and then obviously the Michael Emerson clips will go up as well.
Do you put it in this description?
Put what in the description?
That
Clips
channel.
I did for a bit, and then I forgot to. So I will.
I was looking for it the other day, and I was like, I had
Where
to
is
type in a
Kristian
bunch
Harloff
of things
clips.
to YouTube.
I'll put it. It'll be the first thing as you see in this. I'm going to keep doing that as the first thing you see. I keep forgetting.
Because everybody should go subscribe there. Do you
Everybody
tell them
should. Yeah. I tell them all the time. They need to subscribe. That one is very important to subscribe to because of all the stuff that we have with all the interviews we got going on, and we have shorts and everything. But
that's the it spot.
That's it. So there's no TV picks this week. We'll be back next week for TV picks because we had to do this. We did the interview today.
I think you should watch Lost, Fallout, Person of Interest, Evil.
Well said. Correct.
The Practice. Yeah, good.
Roxy, where can they find you?
Everywhere at Roxy Stryer.
It's pretty easy. And for me, you can find me here every day, Monday through Friday. I have Out of the Theater reactions for Alien Romulus. I have the movie review, non-spoiler for Romulus. I made an announcement that I'm going to be doing movie reactions. I got 3 new people for you to meet, and they're not going to be on the big thing, Roxy. See? I told you. You.
Are you seeing the comments on that post?
The new one?
Yeah.
No, what were the comments? Read some of them.
This is the day Roxy feared. A single tear just rolled down Roxy's cheek somewhere. Roxy looking at this while Sound of Silence is playing in the background.
But do you feel that way?
Do you see me crying?
No. Because you understand. So the big thing is not
I
doing
knew.
Yeah.
So I said it, but also
you said,
and I
no. You said you were going to be replaced.
I think I'm going to be replaced.
Why would, especially now?
But here's my best shot at it is being
Interviews?
awesome at my job.
Oh,
so
or to keep getting interviews.
That's the awesome at my job part.
Yeah, there's nobody else I could really do the interviews with. So you're pretty.
That's the only security that I have.
That's true. You're right.
So just gotta keep performing there.
I love Brett to death, but I wouldn't. And he, to his own admittance, I guess.
Oh my God. What would Brett have asked Michael Emerson?
Nothing. He wouldn't. And Brett would tell you the same. Brett was actually sat on 2 interviews with me. Katie and Freddie Prinze Jr. were the 2 that he sat on. And when he fires his lines out, hilarious. But he's not asking a lot of questions.
That would have been amazing. I don't know what Michael Emerson would have made of Brett.
I just don't think Brett probably on virtual. Brett probably just would have sat there, and he probably wouldn't have made any jokes because he probably wouldn't have known to chime in. So that's what Brett said it himself. He's like, I'm not doing those. He said it.
But he could have done Sam Morril.
Maybe Sam didn't really come off like he wanted to play as much. It took him a little bit.
That's true.
It took him a little bit.
You came in with a question. He was like, I don't consider myself that way.
Right.
And it was like,
but he warmed up.
Oh, 100%. But just if that had happened, you as a professional interviewer was like, all right, cool. I'm going to know how to pivot.
Yeah.
Brett would have shot the fuck.
Yeah. It's hilarious. And he says as much too when we talk to him about it. But anyway, we have more stuff, and I'm glad that you guys are watching. What I have been doing is making sure that I'm opening up the episodes with topics that you guys want to hear about the normal movie stories too, because I know some people go, I don't necessarily know about the interviewee, but if it's in a movie story thing that I'm already paying attention to, I'll stick around for it, and that has definitely proven to be true. We did that with both Nestor and David Castaneda, and that both it worked. So you guys have been watching them, checking them out, been saying very kind things, and that's it. So once we have some more people. We have some more people coming up, and that's it. Thank you to Roxy. Thank you to you guys. See you on the flip side. Bye-bye.